Hi, it's Winnie. You're watching Dante Boxing Nation.
You know, I always say on this channel, pay-per-view fights should actually be free. And now the day has come where I'm about to hook you up with an app where you can watch all your pay-per-view events, boxing, UFC, etc. for free. I want to introduce Block TV, the best internet streaming television app out there. They provide over 3,600 channels, including HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Starz. They have a massive video on demand library with over 40,000 of the new release movies and the latest TV series. And it also includes DVR. So you're getting all of this for $34.99 a month. And once again, that includes free pay-per-view. So this one right here is a no-brainer, guys, because back in Las Vegas, I was paying damn near $200 a month for my cable. Those days are long gone now. So to get the app, make sure you guys go over to getblocktv.com and put in my promo code and get 30% off your first month. You also get a free month for every friend you refer. The promo code is DBNation. Dante's News Nation, what's going on, guys? Now, once again, I want you guys to subscribe to my new channel, and I still call it my new channel because I haven't been consistent on the channel. It's not going to really start until I get really consistent, but I'm going to be dropping these type of videos on this channel for now while we're dealing with this pandemic. So I'll put the link in the description box. I want you guys to subscribe to DNN, Dante's News Nation. I'll be having a lot of stories like this. I'll be reporting global news, etc., etc. But I'm actually still developing the channel in terms of working on the logos and the artwork that I want to put up. So once again, that should all be done within a month or so. Let's get into this story. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is an important story that you guys really need to pay attention to. So a Detroit healthcare worker dies after being denied coronavirus testing not one time, not two times, not even three, but 4 times, according to the victim's daughter. Deborah Gatewood, she was a phlebotomist that only had 2 more years to go before she could retire from the hospital that she worked at in Detroit. That's right, this happened in Detroit, in Michigan. And I'm gonna tell you guys why that note is so important later on in this video. So anyway, Deborah, she died April 17 from the symptoms related to coronavirus. Her daughter said that prior to her death, she was denied corona testing 4 times by her employer, Beaumont Hospital in Farmington Hills. Now, to add insult to injury, Deborah, she worked as a phlebotomist for 30 years. Now, I don't know how long she worked at this hospital in particular, but I'm assuming if she's been doing this for 30 years, she had to be there a long time. Now, many news stations reached out to Beaumont Hospital multiple times for comment, but did not hear back from them. That's not too surprising. However, later on, they did issue a statement to another news station, and they said, as patients come to Beaumont for care during this pandemic, we are doing everything we can to evaluate, triage, and care for patients based on the information we know at the time. We grieve the loss of any patient to COVID or any other illness. But you notice they never addressed the situation with Deborah Gatewood, who was an employee at their hospital. They never denied claims that they didn't test her. They never said that they did test her. Because first of all, we all know that this would be in the medical records if they did. Now, Kayla Carruthers, the victim's daughter, she said that her mother started experiencing symptoms in March. Now, Deborah Gatewood, she drove herself to the hospital emergency room in Farmington Hills, once again, the hospital she works at. She drove there on March 18th, where she requested a test and was sent home. They said she wasn't severe enough and they weren't going to test her. They told her to just go home and rest. I mean, guys, the whole purpose of testing is to prevent the illness from getting severe, right? I mean, that's the reason why you put your seatbelt on when you get in your car. You don't wait to put your seatbelt on seconds before an accident takes place, right? So this is not making any sense. Okay, so then the very next day, Deborah, she goes back to the hospital, by which at this time she developed a cough. And the hospital's response was to give her some prescription drugs and send her home again. Now after this, Deborah, her condition worsened. She went back to the hospital March 21 because her fever had spiked. On that visit, her mother was told that she most likely has the COVID-19 virus. But they still didn't test her. So she went home again. Deborah went back to the hospital for the last time, the fourth time, March 23rd. On March 27th, the daughter, Carruthers, she went to her mother's home, found her in the bed. She was not responding when Carruthers was calling her name. So that's when they decided to take her to the hospital. And as they were leaving the house, Deborah, she collapsed. Her eyes had kind of rolled back and she was unresponsive. So they laid her back in the bed. They called the ambulance. Where the ambulance came, tested her for coronavirus. She had a fever of 106 degrees. By this time, she developed pneumonia and was intubated for more than 2 weeks. That's when her kidneys began to fail and then her heart. On April 20th, she was declared dead. So my condolences goes out to this family, and they have a serious lawsuit. And I hope they go ahead and file that lawsuit. But you know, it's pretty crazy because I'm actually reading new parts of this article as I'm talking to you guys right now. And at the bottom, I noticed that the daughter said the same thing that I said. She said, what bothers me the most is that Deborah worked at this hospital for 31 years. You remember earlier on, I told you I wasn't sure if she worked at this hospital the whole 30 years. So her daughter just confirmed that she did, to add insult to injury. Now, as you guys recall, I told you early on in this video, it's important to note that this woman died in Detroit. I said that because according to reports, over 3,000 people have already died in Michigan alone. 40% of the death toll is Black people, and Black people only make up 14% of the population. Now, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the administration's leading public health agency, has begun to publish more detailed data on the racial breakdown of confirmed viruses. But of 828,000 confirmed cases, only 36% are broken down by race. And that's largely due because of the many states not recording racial data on those who test positive. But more recently, it's already been confirmed that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's this huge spike in the death toll when it comes to Black people living in America, dying from this virus. So the question is, why would a hospital, not only a hospital that knows Deborah Gatewood very well because she's worked there for 31 years, but knowing the disparity when it comes to the people that are contracting this virus, wouldn't it make sense to make someone like Deborah priority? But in her case, it was the contrary. Now, before I continue, I gotta show love to my sponsors. Now check this out. If any of you guys want to learn how to speak and read the original biblical Hebrew words, I want you to go over to zionlawschool.org. You will receive an overview of Phoenician Hebrew, grammar, parts of speech, nouns, verbs, prepositions, etc. This brother that founded this website, he's a doctor and he's a neighbor of mine, at least in a neighboring country. Because you know I live in Thailand and he lives in Vietnam. Now he's also selling 3 books, and each book that you buy comes with free online live courses. He has Phoenician Hebrew 101, I Can Read, and 911 Iber Yath Rescue. So go ahead and start that free course by picking up one of his books on Amazon.com. I'll put the link in the description box. You know, this case reminds me of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, if any of you guys are familiar with that. In 1932 in this country, white doctors, they did studies on Black men, telling them that they were really receiving free health care. So they would all run to that, right? But in fact, they were injecting these Black men with a disease called syphilis. The whole purpose of this study was to observe the natural history of untreated syphilis, basically to see what it's going to do, how long it'll take to kill this man, etc., etc. Well, out of the 600 men that they injected this disease into, 400 died. 200 survived. But this is the reason why it's kind of analogous to the story I just reported, because they actually had a cure, which was penicillin, antibiotics. Not only did they not tell, they never told any of their subjects that they had this disease, but they didn't even give them the cure when they had the cure. And the doctors, they told the patients that this experiment or study was going to last for 6 months. That turned into 40 years. Because see, later on, they started telling the patients that they're monitoring patients with bad blood, like anemia. So basically, They turned these black people into human guinea pigs, the same way the Nazis turned the Jews into human guinea pigs by doing experiments on them. It's really unfortunate that black people back in 1930 was naive enough to think that these white people cared so much about them that they would come over and give them free health care when black people weren't even allowed in white hospitals. In fact, a lot of black people, including some black celebrities, died because the hospitals at that time refused to treat them. So I don't know what made these black people back in 1932 think that all of a sudden these people cared about them so much. They want to make sure they have health insurance and they live long, strong lives. But that's black people for you. We have such big hearts. We're so forgiving, no matter what the circumstances are. Black people always believe that there's some good in this person. And all he needs is just to have a little bit of God in his life. And all of a sudden that'll conform this man into being a righteous man, but it doesn't always work that way. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Are you ready to take your striking game to the next level? Then you've got to get the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, reflex, hand-eye coordination, head movement, and striking IQ. Lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere with the Focus Ball.
If you guys are looking for more great content and a website that covers everything from sports, business, politics, technology, hip-hop, and even more, you need to go over to rapstreamtv.com. The website is ran and owned by Sire. They'll keep you guys updated on everything. So once again, brothers that's out there doing positive things like this are exactly the ones that we need to support. So show that love by checking out rapstreamtv.com.